All right, we
It's
are
live.
live. So thank you, everyone. I know we're a few minutes late, but we were talking, having fun.
Yeah,
So
11 minutes. We're professional.
we could have started at 1, but we were just talking. We might as well have just started. I don't know what's wrong with us. So we'll just blame Mike.
Yeah, I'm the one running this.
Okay, so welcome to the Entrepreneurs Roundtable, and glad to have you guys all here. So let's do a quick little introduction of who's all here, and then I'll do a quick little what this is about, and we'll get started right away. So since you're the first box, Gideon, why don't you start? Gideon?
Gideon.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, man. I had the live play going on in the background, so I started getting confused with all the talking between everybody. What was the question?
Introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? My name is Gideon Walker. I was the first hired copywriter at AppSumo, and father of 3, Army veteran, and that's it.
Cool, cool. What do you do now?
Totally got took off guard, man.
What do you do now?
So right now I'm working on a project for a new service for to help entrepreneurs with their email marketing.
All right. And you're known as the Entrepreneur Dad. You do a lot of posts and whatnot to help entrepreneur dads. All right, Mike, you're up.
My name is Mike Doyle. I own an animation company called Drive 80 Studios, where we do animations that help people who are frustrated that people don't get what they do. And I am currently building. I have a blog called Paleo Riot. It talks about health and my own personal adventures in life, my nomading around the country, and starting to do some health coaching. Yeah. In a nutshell.
I'm Jared. Jared Elrod, and I have bizdevheroes.com, or Business Heroes. And I've got a couple of web shows, one of which, The Validators, which I recently kind of got going. I actually featured Mike in his business in the first episode, where I basically just take marketing strategies that people write about and test them to see if they actually work or not. So that's us. And the Entrepreneur Roundtable, the whole idea, it's kind of hang out podcast. I don't know, we'll see what it is. But like Mike mentioned in one of his posts about, we have a weekly mastermind where we get together, and we just decided that we wanted to open that up for some other people as well because of the stuff we talked about. We thought it'd be really cool if we made it public versus just a private call we did. And the idea is that as time goes on, we'll have guests and stuff, roundtable. So I mean, we could have little boxes all across the bottom as long as it's manageable, and have multiple people on here, get guests on. Maybe one day one of us doesn't make it because we're out on vacation or whatever, but there's enough of us to where we can keep this thing going every week and just have new and exciting guests on all the time. And yeah, so that's it. So you guys ready to get started with our first topic of the day?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so normally what we'll do is one of us we'll take turns and go through, but since we're kind of making this a public thing, we actually had some prepared questions. We figured it'd run a little smoother. So the first one, amongst ourselves talking, we kind of came up with was the concept of, and this is actually something we've been talking about for a month or two, is following money over your passion and purpose. So when it comes to being an entrepreneur, there's, okay, you got to make money, and then there's at the same time you have, you want to change the world, or Steve Jobs talks about putting it into the universe, and we've kind of all found ourselves in that position to where it's like we don't want to just pimp ourselves out for money, but at the same time, because we want to follow a purpose, but then at the same time there is that balance of having responsibilities. So Gideon and I both obviously have kids, and there's only so long. Kids have to eat multiple times a day. I don't know what's with that. But,
Ew.
but you kind of balance that out, and so that's for today's discussion. Another way to word it, I guess, could be selling out versus following your dreams. I don't think it's necessarily selling out, but that concept, and that's something that the three of us have all kind of been on that path. And I know I'll kick it off to you first, Mike, because I know that's something big for you because you've got Drive 80, and obviously you love doing it, but at the same time, you feel like you've found, if I'm wrong, your mission in life is Paleo Riot and helping people with their health and fitness and stuff. So I think we start off with you then.
Yeah, actually, it was funny because you said selling out. I remember when I was younger, I used to play in a band, and our biggest, we were punk rock and 17, and the biggest thing was selling out and all this bullshit. And I always found it funny because I used to fall into that whole mindset when I was younger, and then as I got, then I was touring in the band and living off $10 a day, and we'd be in the middle of nowhere and playing in front of 3 people, and it was awesome. But you were doing it for the love of it. But at the same time, it's like you still need gas to get to places. But I love when people throw out sellout, because the people who do that, majority of the time, they are doing what they love, and they're getting paid for it. So who the fuck's a sellout? I don't know. If you go to college and you leave and you do the career you want and you're making money for it, and then you box someone for selling out, I always found that to be ironic. So maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's my answer in a nutshell. But I think the thing I get confused with is you read all these success magazines and they say just focus on doing it for the passion of it, and then at the same time you've got debt. So you can't really shake that, because you're thinking the whole time like, man, I got to pay these bills, but I really love what I'm doing. And so I think there's a point where you go in the direction of loving something, and then it starts to generate cash flow to where it makes you feel comfortable, and that makes it more easy to live in the passion. But if you're just being passionate and you're not sustaining a lifestyle, it's very hard to just say, well, if I'm just passionate about it, it eventually will come. And it's hard to stay that motivated in that sense. So I try to focus on what it feels like to be at the place I want to be successfully, and at the same time I'm very aware that I need money. So that's my answer.
With that, I know that we've all obviously gone through the AppSumo course, and Noah's very big on validate first. So it's like, don't even pursue something unless you can validate it. And at first I was like, oh, that's like law. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? He says that, and that's true. But it's like, how many businesses did he start first that maybe were passionate? So like, he's come to that knowledge like later on. Obviously, it wasn't just an inherent thing. And so I've thought about that, and I've looked back at all the failed businesses. And when I started off my business idea as, oh, I really want to do this, and then I'll figure out how to make money later, I used to have this like mindset that how you start a business is you pick an idea of something that you just really like, something you're passionate about, and really it just was a waiting game. Like, you just had to start creating content and doing what you want to do, and there was like this magical like threshold, and there was like a certain amount of pain you would go through, right, of not, so you have to figure out how to pay your bills or how to get by without money or whatever. And then all of a sudden, if you could stick around long enough, I had this like weird idea about the internet. Like, it would reward just length, right? Like, so if you could stick around long enough, then all of a sudden magically like search engines would start picking you up. Other bloggers would start like posting on you. And so it was like, that was the name of the game, is you just have to stick it out through the hard times. And then I realized like, no, that's wrong. And then so I went the opposite way, where I was like trying to start businesses like 100% just because it's like, I don't want to have a regular job. Like, I need to create a business so I can work for myself. And I went too far the other way. So then I was just following money. And those, did a little better in the fact that like they made money, but then their Achilles heel was it was hard to stick with them, because it was like, cool, I made some money, but I don't want to do this again. And, like, I'll lose the excitement. So at first, money was enough, because I could be like, cool, I have a prospect, I have a call, or I'm emailing, this is exciting. But then after a while, it'd be like, oh, yeah, that went really well, but what if I do get them to do it? And then I actually have to go do the work. And then I started to realize, like, okay, so there's got to be a middle ground where, like, I'm not 100% just going off the, like, data of I can make money, but then I'm not, like, trying to do something so abstract that like maybe there's 5 people in the world who would actually pay for it. That balance of in between. And I know, Mike, you've struggled with that a little bit with Paleo Riot, of trying to find your audience, and are people willing to pay, and can I get people to pay? Same thing with myself, like going into like more of the business coaching, inspiration, guidance type thing. Like, there's so many out there, should I even bother with it? And so I actually dropped Business Hero probably a half dozen times and would pursue other things more for money, and I kept coming back to it, because like I finally just realized, like, I feel, and I know you felt the same way about Paleo Riot, is like, I was born to do this, so like I've got to figure out a way. Like, there's obviously value to it, and we just have to figure out a way to actually to get there. And so this is like going back to our early days of like our our discussions when we all had like something else we were doing and we were trying to figure out like, well, what do we really want to do? So yeah, I know there's that balance. Like, I mean, how do you guys feel about that struggle, and like any insight on that?
It takes a long time. I mean, yeah, for like since 2012 or 13, like been kind of like on this path, and it's the entire time I was chasing the money. You know, like I just wanted money quick, and I was like, if I just do this one thing, if I take this one course, and then that one course turns into another course, and then another book, and another audio program, and then another course, and it's like, you want the money so bad, so quick, that you'll like do anything that kind of like holds your interest for a while, but then after a while, it's like, you know, being scatterbrained and like not focusing on one thing, or like not even realizing that what you're doing is like you're not making money, like the missing element was like figuring out like how can I help people, right?
Yeah.
And mixing that, you know, the passion that like you need like a passion to like help people and also make money in the end with it, you know, because like you said, like how can you be in debt and still move forward with whatever you're working on, you know, and not getting paid? Because it's like, you know, Jared and I, like, we both have kids and wives need to have a regular source of income.
Wives need more
happy.
kids.
Well, I mean, Mike's got CrossFit, and that needs a regular source of income from what I hear. So.
CrossFit's expensive. It's like a child. Just as expensive.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like really hard to justify to your wife or like make your family feel better, you know, when you're trying to chase your passion, right? When it's not paying for shit. And so, I don't know. My thoughts on that is like, if you have a regular day job, like right now, stay in it for as long as possible until your side business, you know, actually starts to replace your regular income. Because, I mean, the stories that you hear, you know, like on Facebook or whatever, like all those super successful people who like had this brilliant idea, like there are some who just kind of fell into it, and they're the exception, right? But for the rest of us, it's like you actually got to work at it. What was it like? J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, she like went to like, what was it, like 23 different publishers, and nobody would take her.
Yeah.
And then she finally sold it to one publisher for like, I think like $5,000 for the license to use it. And they printed out the original copies. And then after like it exploded, she like bought the license back or something, and just took off. You know, I mean, there's so much failure in between like seeing like success that if you don't have the money, it's really hard to focus on, you know, what it is that you actually need to do.
It's funny.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, it was funny. A friend of mine, I met her at CrossFit down in Austin. It's CrossFit Austin, and she posted this really cool picture. She's a dancer, and she like is really into like ballet and all this like crazy dance stuff. And she posted this picture of, it was a ballerina, and then it showed their feet, and it was, you know, I forget the message. It was something like, you know, you don't see what's going on underneath. You know, this is how you see it, but you don't see what's going on in the back end or what got them there. You know, and the feet, I mean, they're fucking destroyed. I mean, it's just blistered and bloody, and it's like a stump. But, you know, that's everything that gets you there. You know, and I don't think there's the success stories where people just, you know, I think there's always a voyage getting there, but you have to have a real passion for it, but you also have to be good at it, I think. You know, or you just have to find your audience, because there's some real. And I always go back to bands. I always compare business to bands. You know, and there's the bands that get the hit and they're really good, and they just tour and they just exploded from the beginning. And there's other guys that have been out for 10 years, and they get this one awesome song, and it just catapults them. But and people the whole time are kind of like, I don't really like this. I don't like. There's a band. One of the guys I used to be in a band with is he's in Gaslight Anthem. And they've played like Writing Festival where Bruce Springsteen's come out and played on stage with them. But when he started off, man, people didn't like his voice. They were like, we don't like your voice. We don't like your voice. And he endured that for years. And all of a sudden, people just kind of became accustomed to it, and now everyone just loves them. So I think your audience will find you. But you have to just endure all this shit to get there, you know. But you know, so I don't know.
Yeah, and also keep putting out the work. I mean, keep,
Yeah.
what was it? Just ship it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole philosophy behind it. Like you just
What
keep
was that?
showing your work.
Just ship it?
Yeah, there's a book called Just Ship It. Who is it? Who's it by? Is it Seth Godin?
I can't think of who wrote it, but yeah, the concept of like, you need to ship it long before you feel you're ready. If you feel comfortable when you hit release, like especially if it's a web app, you've waited too long. If you're comfortable
Wow.
putting it out there to the world.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yes, I know that whole concept. I'll go back really quick to, following what you believe. Like I know, Gideon, you're probably the best I've ever seen at that, of like being able to find out what will make you happy. And I don't mean like, super selfish, like I want to sit around on a beach and like, drink fruity drinks all day and have people wait on me, like, but like truly like, yourself, you know what you want. And I've seen you turn down like a lot of work because of it, because it doesn't align with your core values. And like so like you're probably the best example. In fact, I actually messaged you the other day about a question on something, and you were basically, your roundabout answer was like, charge what you feel happy about. I kind of laughed. I'm like, oh, best answer ever. And you're like, yeah, it's just not worth it. Like otherwise, if you're not happy with it, you're gonna feel like you're, like slave labor, and your work's gonna suck. You're not gonna enjoy doing it. You're gonna burn out, and it's like, all right, good advice.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm still figuring it out, man. What actually makes me happy? There's been a lot going on lately, personal wise, like battling internal demons and things like that. And dude, I'm still trying to figure it out, man. And I guess that's like kind of like a pursuit and journey. That
I don't think you stop though. I think it just becomes where you feel comfortable in it. If you live in turmoil, that's one thing. But if you can recognize it and use it to grow, I think that's fine. But yeah, there's always, if life was just super easy, I think people would just get really bored.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. I mean, it's an everyday kind of struggle to like trying to figure out like between all the different facets of like your life, like between family, money, health, and everything else. Yeah, like because I did that thing with just charging too little, too long.
Yeah.
It sucks, dude. Like the most recent client that I had, I like way undercharged, and I'm fucking miserable working with him. Like I just want to get it done, get paid, and like just end all relations with him, because it was just that could be like a topic for another day about client expectations.
Yeah.
Setting that up for them, because they'll just like treat you like an employee, man, and that shit sucks. I was about ready to just drop the project, like, dude, keep your money. I'm not doing this anymore, but I need the money.
But you did though. I thought that you had with someone. Oh, you didn't do it?
No, I decided to push through.
Oh, damn.
So.
Well, there goes my inspiration, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, see you later, Gideon. We're kicking you out.
I know exactly how you feel, Gideon, because I remember. So I kind of rebooted my business as Business Heroes, but before, when I was Nate Ideas, and that was kind of, I talked about that struggle between like making money and the passion. And so I started off and I wanted to do like info products, and I wanted to do coaching and all this kind of stuff. But I had that inner voice that I listened to, like, well, who are you? Like, you're not. And at the time, like, Noah Kagan was like my biggest inspiration. I looked up to him, hero. I'm like, you're not him. You're not even close to being where he is. And I listened to that, so I compromised. So rather than doing, Business Hero, I didn't have the name at the time, but I scaled it back and I did Nate Ideas, which is the name of my video production business I had just right out of high school. I kind of started and built up doing weddings, which I hated, so it's kind of weird why I would choose the name. I don't know. It's almost like, in hindsight, it was like a symbolism. It was like I was choosing the wrong path. And I started doing marketing stuff, and I just basically become like, I would do anything marketing related, copywriting, marketing. I did some ads, and I remember like I'd be talking to my wife, or I'd be talking, I'd be thinking, even though I'm kind of like absent-minded, I'm thinking about something else. I'm like, man, I need to go out and pick up some more clients so I can like get some of these things covered, And I was like, but I don't have time to do the work of new clients, because I barely have time, if at all, to finish the work I already did. I was like, man, I undercharged. Like, this isn't sustainable, because it's like I now need the amount of work I need to go out and do. There's no way I can add that into my pipeline. I needed to like double or triple what I charged. I was devaluing myself. and that was an important lesson to learn for me. And so then, now rebooting back with Business Hero, it's just the difference and the confidence to go in and say, like, okay, I understand my purpose, I understand what I'm trying to do, and I understand the value I can bring, and to charge appropriately. So not to devalue and do it super cheap, but also not to be, like crazy. Like I'm going to charge, $10,000 to write a, you're a copywriter, Gideon. Like, oh, I'm going to charge 20 grand to write, 400 words of copy for you.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyways. So that whole balance. And so I know that was an important lesson for me to learn. And I heard it over and over. Like I even had some coaches who would be like, you need to charge more. And I was like, I couldn't imagine, like I couldn't conceive it.
Right, like how do you justify that?
Exactly. And it was, I really had to go on, like, almost like, not to sound whatever, but like kind of like self-discovery. And part of the reason I in hindsight, and tell me if you guys can resonate with this, part of the reason I had such a hard time charging what I was worth is because I wasn't in like my calling, basically. So, I like to use hero terms, right, with Business Heroes. So I'll quote a lot of Joseph Campbell. So like I had the whole hero's calling, and I ignored it or put it on the back burner because I was like, oh, but I've got everyday things, right? So I wasn't in my calling. I wasn't doing like my big purpose in life. So then it was really hard to charge for something I was basically selling out, or okay, I don't want to upset Mike, or whatever, settling. So it made it hard to charge. And then once you get into like where it's like, I know we've had conversations, Mike, and then you can give more detail if you want, but I remember you saying a couple of times in these calls something along the lines of like, not having that struggle and having the inner voice as much, like when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do and you know that like you're 100% helping people and you can change their lives, it's so much easier to charge the appropriate amount.
Yeah, man, I think well, the thing that people forget when anyone's doing it in business, whether they're the product or they're the service or they're whatever, they're just thinking about a number, and they're forgetting. We talked about this last week, which is like they're forgetting the value that they're giving to the person. So if I'm a business and I come to you for business coaching, and there's a reason I'm coming to you, because my amount of knowledge is up to here at that point. And there's all this outside of the radar shit that I don't know yet. Now, you're outside of the radar, so you understand these things. Or you might take what I've done and see different things surrounding it that I just can't see. So even if you came to me and said one thing, and you say you charge me $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever you would charge, and I have a business where I could potentially make millions of dollars, right? So the thing that's going to get me there is it's education and knowledge and something. And if you're going to come along and coach something or say that one thing that I never would have thought of, and that's going to boost me in this direction where all of a sudden I start making money, then paying you is worth it, because the value of it to me is going to gain me tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's what you have to think about. And that it's the value you're going to potentially bring someone. And coaching is really just education. People spend hundreds, like 15. I don't even know what people are spending in college nowadays. I didn't go to college. I mean, I went to like a technical school, but like I didn't spend $100 grand or $200 grand. But a lot of people are going to be in debt for 30 years, but they paid that money to learn, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't have to learn anymore. No, you always have to learn. So you're a real-time college saying, this is what I've done, this is what you should do, and this is experiences I've done, and they work. So that's going to give someone a lot of value moving forward, So that's how you have to think about it. You can't just say, oh, man, an hour of my time is X amount of dollars, but it's within that hour, all of that information you're going to give them, I mean, that is just worth so much more,
And that was huge for me when I was first getting Business Heroes together, and we first kind of got our group together, and we're kind of talking, and then I remember having a conversation where you said something like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, and I said, hey, and then once you do this, you can do this, and this with it, and like the light bulb went off, and you're like, oh my gosh, like who knows how much money that could make me over the period of like the next year, just by that one thing. And you kind of said what you just said a little bit, and that was like, okay, I can do this. Like I'm on the right path, because I still have those inner voices a little bit of like, okay, so I've got the skills, I've got the experience, but I don't know, like You know,
well, here's the other thing though, man. Like, let's say like, you know, you gave that information to someone too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a call with them next week. So then the call next week is you could say, hey, did you do that thing yet? And they're like, oh, no. And you're like, why didn't you do it? So then you're holding them accountable.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing I've noticed with so many like coaching programs, probably not like the super high-end stuff, but with a lot of the stuff, whether it be a course or whatever, there's like no accountability. Like even if they say there is, there ends up not being a lot of great accountability. And so like I know every time we talk, because you know I'm working with you, Mike. Well, you're working with me, I guess, for Paleo, Riot, and that's like the biggest thing. You're like, well, what's anytime you ask me like, well, what's really working? What do you really value? What's working for you? It's like, well, this and this is good. And every time I always put in there, and it's like the accountability, because I know on Monday I'm going to have a call with you, and I have to like compare that. So whether it's wanting to eat something I shouldn't be eating, or not go for do my exercise, or whatever it is, like I have to. It's no longer just like, well, that affects me, and I'm okay with it. You know, I'll just do it. I'll make it up later. I now have to compare that to like, okay, but I'm going to talk to Mike, and I don't want to let him down. Not like I'm afraid that you're going to yell at me. I could just hang up. You know, but it's like, it's a funny image. It's like I don't want to let you down because you're spending your time and you're investing yourself into it because you're a good coach. You're not just trying to make money just by, oh here do this. And so it's like, okay, well he's putting time into me. I can't let him down. So like I'm gonna get up and go do that. Like I almost didn't go out this morning because I slept in a little bit. I didn't get up until like 6. I wanted to get up at 5, whatever. And so I was like, I'm still going to do it. And I went out and I had like the most amazing run, I think, since we started this today. And I'm like, geez, if I was just working with myself, I would have missed out on that. And I feel like I hit like a breakthrough in terms of the physical side of it. And to me, I was like, oh man, so it's that accountability part, like you were kind of talking about as well, not just all the knowledge. And so that's for me, that's what like I really want to focus on. I know that like you're really good at that. And I kind of got on a tangent, so I'm going to look back to you guys for help.
I was fine with it.
Well, I was thinking with like masterminds or coaching, right? I mean, it's like the same thing in like a regular classrooms. Like it's like one teacher to every 30 students or something like that, right? Like they put a limit on it. Even that's the ratio is like really high. But with the masterminds and coaching groups and things like that, you're not getting the accountability because it's like they're putting too many members in.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna give people like individualized attention when you can't even pay attention to everybody that's asking the same stupid questions?
Right.
So that's why it's like, what is it, like 10, 15 people in a mastermind possibly, and that's why they spend like $25,000 a year or whatever to be in it, because you're getting that individualized attention, and like $25,000 is, they're going to be making way more by getting that special help, and also learning from other, entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah, it's also, and depending on the group too, I mean, it's who you get in front of. Like if I was in a group and I was in front of Tim Ferriss for about an hour or 3 hours, I would just be like, what the shit? just talk about your day. Tell me about all the things you do, because it depends on who's giving the advice too. And there might be someone in that group who might be better than Tim Ferriss, and they just haven't got as much recognition. And he's sitting there going, holy crap, like this is really going to benefit me in the long run, So people just, they're never in the moment when they're deciding. So you're setting yourself up for blocks of time to give value to people, and that comes with, coaching comes with copywriting, it comes with designing. When you're charging someone, what a client is, the wrong clients are just saying, how much am I paying for this? And they're already doing it wrong. What they're not seeing is what is it going to give them? And when you're giving a service to someone, it's what are you giving them? I get a lot of benefit out of coaching, like, coaching Jared, because I really look forward to it, and he's getting a lot out of it because he's like, getting results. And for me, it's also making me go, well, I can't just sit on my ass all day long if I'm going to tell people about health. So it benefits me at the same time, So in that time, it's like when you're in that moment for an hour or 30 minutes, wherever it is, and you're working on something or doing something, there's a lot that comes out of that. So people need to really think about that what they're creating. You know, it's not just, well, this, you know, if someone's doing a logo, oh, this logo is taking me 4 hours. They're like, why does it take so long? You're like, Jesus Christ, man. There's a story in the color and then the shapes and, like, you know, the fonts and finding all these things, and it's like, you're going to be using this for 10 to 20 years, so you got to think about these things. So you can't just say to someone, I need a logo in 4 hours. This can be the face of your company for 3 decades or you know, whatever it is. And if that's someone who, if a client's saying that to you, you got to drop them, because they're doing it wrong, and they suck. They absolutely suck.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a caveat to, you know, like thinking about the value that you provide and what they're gonna get in return. First of all, you know, like there's the wrong market, right? Just like you're saying, like you get the wrong client who sees everything as a transaction rather than an investment. Like they will never ever, like you'll never convince them ever that what you're providing is value, and that the price that you charge is actually worth it. It's actually, you know, if I can steal, you know, for what they'll get in the end. And so, you know, I mean, I'm sure you guys have done the same thing where you spend a lot of time with just the wrong client, man, trying to convince them why it's worth it, because you're like, I need this client. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Like those type of people, like you just, what was it? I think like Dan Kennedy said, he's like, you need to have like a litmus test with clients. So like, you know, the little red flags that you notice.
Yeah.
So for me, or like for him, he said, if he goes to lunch with somebody and they calculate the tip to the exact percentage, like not a good client.
That drives me nuts, man. Not a good friend to hang out with either.
Yeah, because they'll like nickel and dime you on every commission sale, you know, and things like that, and just give you a hard time, right? Towards it's not worth it.
It's funny. For me, Sadie does the same thing. Like he says, I've heard him say, or in interviews or blogs or whatever. He said, if you want to like judge someone's character, I don't know how accurate this is. See what you guys think. But he says like go to and have like chicken wings with them. And he said, watch how they eat them. And he says if they leave like a lot of chicken on the bone where they just barely touch it, he said those are worthless people. He's like, don't hang out with them on station. They're worthless people.
I hate that. Man, if someone's like, if I'm getting wings from someone and they just do that, I'm like, dude, that's currency right there, man. Actually, no. I think of it as, it takes, what, to get a dozen wings, it's what, 6 chickens they had to kill to do that? Food for thought. Waste a lot of chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, well, that's, I think that's a humorous way to end that one, since we're already kind of coming up here on our time.
It was pretty funny, actually.
What's that?
It was pretty funny.
I just love the image of, you just killed, 6 chickens and
the little wings, the little wings.
I don't know. I just see like this plate of like dead chickens. Like I'm never gonna like waste that again, because I'll look down at the plate and if I see any meat on the bones, I'm just gonna see like actual like chickens sitting there dead because of me. So I'm at least gonna let their death be for a worthy cause. That has nothing to do with business. Okay. Second question is this actually, Mike, this is your idea. I really like this. Planning an idea versus executing an idea. And because I know for us, so we've had this mastermind for however long now. And in the beginning, honestly, I mean, we're being honest with ourselves. It was no different than like my grandpa's coffee group at McDonald's. They'd get together, they'd complain about what they didn't like, they'd talk about what they did like, they would dream about what life could be like, and that's kind of what we were doing in the beginning. And after so many calls, we were like, well, what if we just did something? And it went from like, let's pretend, and like we had a mastermind where we talked about our business problems. It turned into, well, let's map out what we want our life to look like and what we want our businesses to be like. And I know that's where actually all 3 of us had a big turnaround. You with Paleo, Riot, Gideon with your copywriting, where you came up with your service. Me with just dropping neat ideas and all the client work and focus.
You know what it was? You know what? Actually, thinking back on it, what really was that you guys had really good gigs going on, and I just had frustrations. Like I drive 80, and that brings in it does well enough. And I just wasn't feeling the passion for it. And so I think the 3 of us were kind of like, yeah, well, we don't really feel it. And then all of a sudden, I got fed up, Gideon got fed up, and then you got fed up. And I think that's the point where it all started coming together, because we were like, all right, that's the point that anyone does anything. They get completely fed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's where the turning point was. And I think that was around when I was in Austin, Texas, and I was talking to you guys on the phone. And right around that time, which was I think about a month ago, it just started to flip, and we were like, all right, like we really see some value in this, and started pushing each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was huge because I remember the one conversation we were talking about, like, why are we building our businesses like other people have? Like, why aren't we looking? And it's like, well, we're doing it backwards. We're like building our business, and then once we're like feeling comfortable with that, then we're gonna look at our lives and figure out. It's like, well, what if our business we built doesn't make us happy? And we flipped it. I remember sitting there. You were in Austin. I was just on that side of the room, and we were talking about it. And I was like, what if we like designed our life? And Mike, you were a big inspiration because you sold all your stuff. You're traveling. I was like, well, what if we first designed our life, what we wanted our life to look like, and then figure out what business would fit into that. And then so instead of it being like, well, we have to make $1 million business because that's what you have to do to be successful. And I remember I threw out the number. I was like, well, what if we only needed $5,000? Like, that's nothing. You could make that with the business like super easy. So what if we designed our life and we're trying to build this lifestyle and business that's like $1 million a year business, but really like our ultimate happiness would be living the life and having the business of a $5,000 a month business. And that was kind of like a light bulb. Like, not that any of us only wanted to make $5,000, but it was like the light bulb where we're like, oh yeah. And I know Gideon threw some stuff. We were all kind of talking about stuff, and it was like, what are we doing? And we all kind of went on this like self-discovery of who are we and what do we want to be and what do we want to do. And things really started clicking after that. That was big for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and that relates to our question because before we were just talking about stuff, like we had no goals to execute on. So now we're able to, obviously, if we've set our goals, we're able to start executing on that. And Mike, I know you were wanting to, this is something you were really thinking about a lot, and you kind of brought it up, that concept of how do we avoid that trap of getting into where we're really going back to entrepreneur, where we're messing around with, whether it be pricing or a new service or a new landing page, versus just getting out there and doing something. And I know I kind of called you on that a little bit where you were overthinking some stuff you wanted to add to your coaching. And I was like, dude, just go talk to people. And I think that part of that was kind of what made you think of this. You're like, man, we just need to go execute. So, I mean, did you have any other thoughts on that? Anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, man, I think it's just you start building the whole infrastructure in your head to start, and then so you're sitting there like, well, this is what this will look like, this is what this will look like, and then I keep thinking back to that whole have one goal, and so my goal was just to gain 10 clients. That's my first goal. Like, don't write a book, don't write a video series, don't do all this product shit, just get 10 clients, and that's my goal. So now it puts a fire under my ass to start doing that. So it's like within that, it's like I created a whole squeeze page, I created a packages page with pricing. So it's like, I always think I have to be, I think that's the problem with people. They think that they have to be in a certain moment, in a certain space to do something. So for me, if it's between the daytime, that's when I work, and the nighttime is where I kind of take a break. And then last night around 9 o'clock at night, I got off this marketing call because I'm taking a 6-week course with Joshua Hayward and Kick-Ass Coaching Academy, and Jared introduced me to. And I just kind of felt
we're both kind of doing that 30-day challenge for the validators thing, and
yeah,
it all came out of that conversation.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, again, it's constant reinforcement. I'm taking coaching as well. It's, even though it's like I'm giving it, I'm also taking it. But I just felt fired up, so I sat there and I gave myself, I was like, I just need to stop planning and doing. So I sat down and I finally busted out the damn page already. And yeah, it's a work in progress, but I got it down and I felt so relieved. So sometimes you just have to, it's like Jared said before, Gideon said before, it was, just ship it. Just stop over analyzing the damn thing and just put it out there. So I thought that was pretty badass. Well, I have to check that book out, Gideon, now that you you said
I think
that.
it was an article.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I've heard that
some
multiple
coding.
times in multiple interviews about shipping early, shipping fast. So.
Yeah. Do you Gideon?
I'll look it up and I'll send it over.
Where do you find that you're kind of it's a little analysis paralysis over execution?
It's like knowing if it's gonna work or not, and also like not wanting to put in the work, because it's like you can work on something for years and then nothing comes of it, and then what? You know, so, or like there's so many different strategies. Like, which one do you choose?
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just picking one and be like, just try it and actually put in 100% into it, and see if it actually works. You know, because I think a lot of times we just kind of half-ass it. Like we were talking about this before. Like, we have a hard drive full of courses and books and PDFs and all this stuff, and we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then you start reading through it, and it's just way more fun to read it than it is to actually do it, because it's like, oh damn, like I actually got to put some work in here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, do I do Facebook ads? Do I do Google marketing? Do I do Hangouts? Do I do Instagram? Do I do email marketing? Like, there's just so many different avenues. Like, which one do I choose, and which one's going to work the best for me? Like, it doesn't really matter, right? So for me, I finally like niched it down to, originally what I wanted to do with my website was just turn into a landing page, into a story. They go through like a few pages of of a story, and then at the end, they subscribe to like learn more about whatever that the story is behind or whatever I'm selling. And so like I'm focusing strictly on just email marketing. Like that's my marketing channel. That's my sales process. That's everything. Mm-hmm. And instead of like trying to figure out like, oh well, like I want to do YouTube videos and podcasts, and Jared and we have like 8 or 9 episodes recorded, and we haven't released it yet at all.
Not released.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're really good. We just never released it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I keep scheduling interviews for the podcast. I keep doing them. Like.
Well, no, I think you touched on something there, because it really comes down to, like, I had to figure that out too. Like, not just once you figure out your voice, but like your medium. I mean, I kept feeling like, and probably because everyone knows Brian Harris. I did some coaching with him when I was, kind of first getting started. And he does blogs, and a lot of people do blogs. Pat Flynn, so many of them, they'll do blog primarily, then maybe they'll launch a podcast, and that's like their main thing. And I remember him saying one day in coaching, he was like, just commit to posting or hitting publish every Friday. And that like it was good advice, but it didn't really work out for me. I should have been like, well, that's not my thing. But at the time I was like, oh, okay. And that like almost like brought the whole business to a screeching halt, because it's like I couldn't do that. And I was like, not that I can't write, it's just that's not the way I express myself the best. In fact, if you go over my Facebook page, it's pretty obvious that I like to express myself through videos. So it took some time for me to figure out the obvious. So I just had to let go and be like, okay, I don't have to do blogs. Just because like 90% of other entrepreneurs write blogs, I don't have to do that. I can do vlogs basically, and I can just do videos. And I can post those up and just throw a little description or add a few little notes or something, show links and stuff. And that could be my thing. Like, I don't need to do blogs. And that was huge for me. So if you notice, for like the last few weeks, like I've just exploded with all these videos, like almost every day, because I found my medium. And I think that's really big too, is not to copy what someone else is doing. So like with the whole, that was like kind of my point, the whole podcast, to where we both liked the idea and we both did a good job at it. It wasn't, and this may change, we may come back to it, but like we were putting a lot of effort into it because it didn't seem like it was really flowing. I mean, the podcast flew, but like the whole process of them, and then Gideon would set them up and we'd record them, and then I would edit them and put them online, and then he'd do the show notes. And it felt like we hadn't really figured out our voice yet in terms of like what we wanted to do. So I'm sure we'll go back to that and release them kind of now that we're kind of figuring stuff out a little bit better. And that's why I wanted to start this, because like I had another podcast for Business Heroes I was doing. I'm technically still doing. It's just I haven't released an episode in a few months. We couldn't get that one off the ground. I was like, let's just do something useful. Let's create something useful. And so that's where the whole idea of the whole roundtable came out, because it's like no production. We just like hit go and then we just start talking. And
well, I think that's like that kind of goes along with this whole thing, because it's just ship it. So it's a lot easier, because right now, I mean, YouTube's recording this or whatever it is live, and then it's going to be there, and it's content now, and we showed up and we're done, and none of us have to go back into it and do any of this other crap, and we just kind of show up on Tuesdays, and like, yeah, there's a little bit of work where, Jared, you're giving a structure, but I think what people need to see is what's easy for them, and what are they going to enjoy, So for you, it's videos like Gideon's. Like you could just blast emails out because that's, obviously there's a lot of thought that goes into them. But if you feel whatever feels right and I think it's fast. Even if it's not fast, even if it takes a little bit of time. I think if you really love doing it, you're gonna figure out a way to do it. Like I started doing the road videos of me driving and interviewing, and all I gotta do, I have this little camera. It's this little pocket power shot. I pull it out and I just start expressing what's on my mind, and then the issue is that I have to sit down, and I made it complicated where I have to do these short clips. So I'll take 8 minutes of footage and I make it into 1:30 or 2 minutes long, but I enjoy doing it. So I just block out time and then I bust it out, but I like it. The moment I hate doing it, I'll stop. But it's also something I enjoy doing, and when it's done, I feel like, all right, cool, and it's fast in a sense to do it. So for you with we're doing the videos that go on YouTube or on Facebook, like those are fast, and you just hit upload and it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You could take some time to finesse it and throw a watermark with your logo and all this other crap on there, but it's sometimes better just to just get it out there already,
Yeah.
And get the reactions from people.
And that's what I did, because I come from a video background. So the reason I hadn't been doing videos is because of all the production stuff. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do video, it's got to be with a great camera. I got to use my green screen. I have to all this time. And then when I just started doing I just the iPhone videos really, I started doing those. And after about 2 weeks of doing them, then I got back into. So I've started to do some editing. Right, I'll pull them in. I'll do a little bit of color correction. I'll throw some titles on there. I've been doing stuff where I'm cutting to a little piece of screen recording. And so I've been able to kind of build it out a little bit and add the complexity. But like you said, I enjoy it. And I would have never figured this out if I had just waited to get it all together. It's because I just started with just going for a walk in the morning, recording what was on my mind with my iPhone, and just uploading it. And then I got into that habit. And so now I can go and I'm doing the 2.0 version where I'm, then I bring them over to my computer, do a little bit of editing, put them up. And who knows eventually, what they'll turn into. But I kept thinking I had this show idea, and it kept holding me back. And I finally, it was when I had the validators idea, and you were like, dude, you got to do it, that I dropped this other idea, which was holding back so much stuff because it was so much production that went into it. And I just couldn't do it right now, so I let that stop everything. It became like a dam. And when you were like, dude, you have to do the whole validators idea, I was like, but I'll be cheating on my other show idea.
Yeah.
And I let it go, and not only did I, with the new validator show, I redesigned it to not be it has to be this amazing YouTube show. I'm like, dude, it's gonna go Facebook first. I will get around to putting them on YouTube, but it's gonna be designed for Facebook because that's where I live and breathe most of my time. I'm not gonna make it complicated, and that's where my people are. I'm gonna put it on Facebook, and then as I get into it, I can go back, repackage them, all the extra videos, make it a nice blog post, and that can go up for a nice YouTube video with the channel. But for now, they're just going on Facebook, and that's how really that show started. And every episode and every update's getting a little bit better and better, and it's all because of having to let go of planning this super complicated thing and just doing what I can do right now, and it's growing into that. So that's been huge for me.
Yeah. This is the lull. This is the unprofessional lull.
No, dude, I feel the same way about blogs, man. I can't stand writing blogs, man. I hate it. I'd rather write personal emails, talking about my experiences and sharing personal information and having it get into their inbox. And then I can also use that same email and just put it onto a blog post. It's just copy paste, publish. But writing blogs for the sake of writing blog, because I think that's what I was doing. It's just for the sake of doing it because I'm like, everybody else is doing it, so this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
This is just all over the place. There was no focus on how it could actually help people. But then when I write the emails, it's there's always a lesson behind it.
And they're amazing. I love your emails because it's this kind of weird, in a good way, mix between an old Chinese proverb or mythology.
Because I'm Asian.
Where it's a meaning, and then a good story, right? So it's this old world meaning in this kind of thing wrapped into a modern day story, And like I love it when I get like an email and it's like from Gideon, you know, the entrepreneur dad. I'm like, woohoo, you know, a little present in my inbox. And I won't normally even read them. Right, I'll save them. I can come to my office and like sit in my chair and read them. But see, you found that because if you had just said, well, I have to do a blog, you wouldn't have gotten to that. Same if I said, well, I have to do this amazing YouTube channel. The fact that we allowed ourselves, and again, like you said, I said I can go back and do my channel later. You can go back and add them as blog posts. But it was doing what we can do right now. So back to the whole topic thing about like executing on an idea versus just, you know, talking about it and not executing. So like that's really cool, and I love that you do that. And at first, when you first said that, I was like, oh, come on, man, just, you know, like you're a copywriter, you have to have a blog, like you can't not write. And then you said why, and I was like, I don't know if I agree. And then it just works. I saw like how you kind of worked it and how it's working for you, and like, you know, you've shared your numbers with me about like your open rates and your click-through rates, and it's like obviously it's working for your tribe as well. So yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think like sometimes you have to go. You could be a little different. You know, it's like this is like a really obscure way to put this, but do you remember that band, the Presidents of the United States of America? Do you guys remember them? Yeah, he's probably older because you guys are my age, right, or close to my age? Yeah, they remember that band?
A year or two each other? No.
Well, like the bass player had 2 strings on his bass, and like the guitar player had like 3 strings or something, but they had these hits all over MTV, and like they were one-hit wonders. But I'm sure when they started doing that, people were like, "You can't do that. You have to play with 4 guitars on a bass and 6 guitars on a you know, 6 strings on a guitar." And they were like, "No, this is just kind of how we do it." And my point is that you have to go with what you feel that's going to represent you. And if it's like you're just going to send emails, then just send emails. But be like an animal at sending emails, you know? Like make that your thing and make it the best you could possibly be, because then you're also going to be known as, yeah, the dude just sends emails. They're like, what? That sounds crazy. And, you know, then they're like, well, I didn't need help with emails. So then you're talking to your target market right there. You know, if you start doing blogs and stuff.
Factor. Because like if he was doing the blogs, it's like, oh, okay, big deal, everyone's doing blogs. But then they go, wait, this guy doesn't. You can only get his content through emails.
Right.
So I better sign up then, because otherwise I'm going to miss out. So it also adds that as well.
Exactly. And I think that's like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of what's the word? What is that? Your value proposition, or whatever the hell it is. I can't think of it right now. But it makes you stand out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Like a USP kind of thing.
Yes, thank you. Unique selling proposition. Absolutely.
Cool. I'm going to skip for today. Well, not skip. So a little bit of the structure of the roundtable is we're going to have a list of topics, sometimes from us, sometimes from you guys sending them in, asking questions. And so we'll have like on deck. And so today we had, you know, 2 topics and then kind of like a bonus segment on deck. And we only got to the 2 topics. So that bonus segment will then just go to be the first thing we talk about next week. And then as you guys send in questions, we'll just have this list and we'll pull which ones we want for that week. And if we don't get to it, we're not going to be like, or I mean, we're going to stick to the hour, because we don't want this to turn into like a 2-3 hour thing. You're like, oh, it's good, but I can't listen to all of it. But we're not going to force ourselves to have many conversations on each topic. So if we get going one week on some topic that you send in, and we go the whole hour, that's fine. We'll just push the other topics. So we'll always plan on having, you know, at least 3 topics to cover. And if we run out of time, we'll just push them to the next week.
We should probably like add a clock or something to these from now on. Or you do you do a timer or something. We can time. Like usually, like some mastermind groups, they'll do it's like you get, this is the umbrella time. You know, this is the 10 minutes we discuss this, and everyone gets X amount to do that. You know, and then like buzz everyone and be like, shut up, Jared.
It's my turn to talk.
Let me speak.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That might be fun.
It will be fun.
Talk as much as me, though.
Maybe if we get like enough topics and questions, like, you know, it starts building up, because we're not like covering everything every episode, we can just do like a lightning round kind of thing, and we'll just like pick 10 questions. Everybody gets 1 minute to answer.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. So
or give advice or whatnot.
And then I like that, kind of having that lightning round type thing, to where, like you said, that'd be fun. See if we can do it. I've actually been really getting a lot better at like being more concise by using my iPhone, because I only have a 16 gig, and I only have like X amount of space at any given time. So like this morning, my video I recorded that'll be coming out this evening on my Facebook page, I actually recorded 3 times because it was too long. So the first time I'm like, nope, it sucks, it's too long. I read it again. My phone says, sorry, you're done, you're out of space. And so I did it the third time, and I got it to like really short and concise, and it was like way better. So see, that's another thing. A lot of times we don't want to start something because we don't have the right equipment, but a lot of times it's the faulty equipment which gives us the idea or the style or whatever it is. So my videos,
The limitations.
videos, but because I have faulty equipment, not really faulty, but not some great whatever camera, I have to make them less than 6 minutes and really cut them down and be on point. So yeah. Don't let an excuse hold you back from what you want to do.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up with a little plug of where they can find you. I mean, obviously we have our little things on the bottom, but kind of maybe like the top project you're working on right now that you're most excited about, that if someone goes, I'm in love with Gideon, I want to know all about Gideon, what's the number one thing that you'd want them to go check out right now? So we'll just start with Gideon.
I don't have anything set up. I'm still in the research phase and developing a lot of the concepts behind it and the offering.
The GideonWalker.com, is that the best place for them to sign up to get on these legendary emails that we're talking about? Why don't you just direct them to that?
Yeah. Just go to GideonWalker.com. There's a coming soon page up, but you can put in your email if you want to follow along and get emails from me. You're probably not going to be seeing anything for the next couple of weeks or so, though, since I'm focusing on just getting it.
Yeah, but those are always your best emails, when you don't do anything for a couple of weeks and then you come back and explain why and the lessons you learned. The best ones.
Yeah, because I'm doing a lot of customer research right now, so getting in contact with real people and just learning more, so I can really make this good. So if you want to get on there, that's great. If not, that's fine too. I mean,
sell it.
Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter to me right now, man.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm just trying to focus on one thing at a time, man. I can't do too much, and that should be the next topic, man. Learning your own limitations.
Yeah.
It's a hard lesson to learn, my friend.
Yeah. Seriously.
All right, Mike, you're up. What do you want to direct people to?
I don't know. I guess my main focus. Yeah, it is hard because I do 2 things. So I mean, Drive 80 is for animation, but we mostly deal with if you're a business that's, I don't know, got about 30 to 50 employees. Usually that's our target because we're kind of expensive, so you get a value. But my main focus really is the coaching. It's not about. I don't sit there and give you workout programs and all this crap. I basically just find out what it is you're having trouble with and just give you simple ways to get rid of it. And it's easy, and it's more of changing your mindset to really crave being healthy. So that's my main mission right now, and I'm slowly building that business, basically. And so I wrote a mission down for that. And so my mission for this is to start a movement of people who are looking to break away from who they think they are and unveil who they're supposed to be. So that's my focus, and I think if you're going to start a business, you really need to have a passion and a mission of why you're doing it, which goes back to the beginning, and that's going to answer a lot of questions when you get back in the corner. So that's where my focus is. I just want to make as many people as I possibly can healthy and just set them up in a good place where I eventually leave them, because I only coach you for 6 months and then you're on your own. So I want to leave you in a spot where you launch and be like, shit, now I'm going to go figure out all the other ways to keep myself going in this, this journey of being healthy. So, PaleoRiot.com, and that's it.
Awesome. So for mine, it's the address down there, BizDevHeroes and .com. And so my whole mission is it's almost like the business version of Mike's, where I'm wanting to be able to help people to kind of free themselves from the ordinary, the mundane, buying into the lie of you have to do it this way. And I found myself there, not getting to spend any time with my family. So, BizDev Heroes is all about that, motivating, teaching, and encouraging. So whether you want to get started, you're just getting started, or you've started and now you're in that holy crap phase, to motivate you to keep going, to grow and enjoy your business, and then to find your purpose, right? Because I talked about, just having a business to make money is not that valuable. And that's why I named it Business, Heroes, because, I really believe that you can be a hero. You create your business, you create your success, you give back to the world, you help those around you, and you need to find your mission. And when you do that, you become more than just a business owner or an entrepreneur. You become a business hero. And my main thing really that I'm focused on right now is the validators, which is basically where I take marketing strategies and I do them and I test them and I document it. So the whole idea is we all have all these, like we talked about, documents and training courses and articles and PDFs on our hard drive, and we maybe read them, but we never actually do them. And so my thing is I basically, almost like Mythbusters, where I take different marketing strategies that people are talking about and I will do them and see if they work or not and see what results I get, and try to bring as many of you along with me as possible. So you can check out my website as well as my Facebook page, just Jared Elrod, search for me. You can see my videos on there and follow along.
Sweet.
Cool. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this later, do us a huge favor. Just share this video, on your favorite social network, since you took the time to watch it this far. We'd appreciate that. And you guys are awesome. You're the reason we're doing this. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. See you guys.
Later.